This was my last camp on the PCT, at least for now. I think I'm somewhere around the 152 mark. Yeah, sad I'm leaving, but it's been an awesome 2 weeks, so. Okay, I'm almost to the Pocatello airport to return my rental car. I did a through drive from Palm Springs to Pocatello, and I had to sleep partway along the way, and I'll tell you, trying to sleep in the back of a Nissan Versa does not work very well. Then I tried sleeping in the passenger front seat down all the way back, and that also does not work very well. So just heads up, if you ever have to sleep in a Nissan Versa, sleep in the trunk with the seats down, and then you can put your feet up on the seats. Worked pretty well. You can't really sleep the other way because there's a big lip here, but yeah, body in there, legs sticking out, worked pretty good. Hello friends, family, total strangers. Today's video is going to be about why I decided to get off trail. So I'm off trail. I am currently at my brother Tony's house. I'll probably be staying here for at least a week or so, and then kind of figure out what my plan is from there. But yeah, I decided to get off trail. You know, it was a really tough decision, but I guess I just kind of want to walk through why I decided to do that. You know, so if you want to know why I was staying on trail, you can watch the last video, which I talked about, you know, all my different reasons for staying on trail. Probably excuses looking back, probably excuses. You know, when you're out there, it's hard to see things clearer. It's hard to see things clearly. And also you're just so disconnected from the world that you're not really getting great information. You know, you're just not in that world. You know, you're not checking the news. You're not really doing anything. You're just hiking every day, and everybody around you is on the same mindset to get to Canada. And yeah, so I think I just really needed time to process it and think it through, because originally I got on the trail on the 18th, and then on the night of the 19th, I think, the PCTA, the Pacific Crest Trail Association, sent out an email really wanting everybody to get off trail. They didn't want people to start the trail, and they wanted people on trail to get off. And I heard that news the next morning, the morning of the 20th. I went to bed early, so I missed out on the big hoobaloob at Lake Marina. But I woke up the next morning, and I hadn't really got the news. I knew there was an email that the Pacific Crest Trail urged people to get off the trail, but I guess I didn't realize exactly how strong that email was. And so hiked on. I didn't have any cell reception in Lake Marina. That's why I didn't get that info. And so a couple days later, I actually read the PCT email, and it was like, oh crap, you know, like they're pretty much saying get off the trail. Like, we can't force you off, but get off the trail. And it was at that point that I decided to get off the trail. But then, you know, I was out in the middle of nowhere, so I had to continue hiking, and the people I was with were all staying on trail, and I just found some justifications for staying on trail. You know, and one of them was that I had to travel through 3 airports, 3 buses, and a hostel just to get on the trail, and I'd have to do all that plus hitchhike to get off. And I just thought that, that would expose me to way more people than just staying on trail would. And I was also, I thought being on trail was a good way to self-isolate. Um, and so that was my justification for staying on trail. That's why I stayed on trail. Um, and then I got to uh, Warner Springs, and the group I was hiking with went on ahead. I had to wait a couple days for some packages, and so they moved on. I was on my own, and then after I got my packages, I left and was hiking, and I was on my own. So I think that's where I really started getting some clarity, is when I was away from other hikers on my own with time to really process it and think it, and not just be in this group think of getting to Canada. And it seems like being on the trail would be a great way to self-isolate, that it's this great way to social distance, but it's really not. It's not a good way. You've got, hundreds of people on the trail, and there's still probably that number. There's probably still in the hundreds on the trail. I'd say the biggest problem is resupply, because it's not just going into the stores in these little towns. You have to hitchhike to get into those towns. Those towns aren't on the trail for the most part. You have to hitchhike in. So, if you're getting picked up by a local who's just staying local, whatever, maybe your chances are really low. But what if you get picked up by somebody who's coming up from the city to day hike? And there is a lot of people doing that. So, you're not going to turn down a ride, and you don't know if they're local when you get in the car. So you're getting picked up by these people living in LA, and you don't really know how well they're isolating. And if they're picking up hitchhikers, they're probably not isolating that well. And so I feel like it really opens up the possibility to get it. And then if you get it, let's talk about how easy it is to spread it inside the trail community, but then also the towns that you go into resupply. Because you're breathing the same air as another person in a car seat right next to you. You're touching their door handle to get in and out. You're exposing yourself to those surfaces. So you're exposing yourself to possible infection when you're hitchhiking. And then when you're back on the trail, everything from opening the gate to, which I always would do with a sleeve or something, because you have to go through these gates and stuff. But then also, when you're at camp and setting up, you're using rocks to put on your stakes so your tent doesn't blow over. Pretty much everybody has to because of the wind. And, somebody could have been touching those rocks just a couple hours before. So it's things like that I can spread. But then also a lot of people on the trail just aren't, because they're so disconnected from what's going on, they're not really doing things the right way. Like, there was lots of people sharing food out there, and it would be very easy for it to spread like fire through the hikers. And then when you talk about going into town, you use the credit card machine, and unless you have a bunch of rubber gloves, which, you don't, when you're at the grocery store using credit card machines, you could be touching surfaces that other people are going to touch. And all these little communities that you're hiking through are all choosing to self-isolate. They're all choosing to limit their contact. I am not choosing to limit my contact just by doing the trail because of that whole hitchhiking aspect. So essentially, I am forcing my choice onto them by coming into their communities and, going to their grocery stores and using their public restrooms and whatever else I'm doing. So I felt like it was pretty much just having the time to work through that and think through that and not be in my bubble. Once the bubble, my friends that I was with passed me and I was just on my own and able to think and process, like it really helped me get some clarity. That I don't, even if the chance is small, I don't want to risk infecting somebody in one of these communities. These communities are so important to the Pacific Crest Trail, and they're really, like, they are the backbone of the Pacific Crest Trail, are the communities that you hike through. And just the risk of endangering anybody in those towns, and also the idea of putting those towns at risk, besides being, immoral, for me anyway, I almost felt like it was immoral. Like I was putting myself and my hike ahead of the people in those towns. But, no judgment to people staying on trail. It's really hard to have clarity out there. It's really hard to see things clearly when you're on the trail, you're having a great time, you're around this little bubble, but I just decided it was the right thing to get off the trail and not endanger these communities and not endanger the relationship of those communities to the trail. So yeah, I got off trail, and one of the big things holding me back was what I was talking about, the flights and like having to go through all these airports, and I'm exposing myself and other people, possibly that way more so than staying on trail. But really that was just an excuse, and Jax's mom had a great suggestion, and once she made that suggestion, I had a couple hours to process after she said that. It's like, that's what I'm going to do. That's the way to do it. So her suggestion was to rent a car. Do a one-way car rental. So I went from the Palm Springs airport to the Pocatello airport in a car rental, and then I just used a little rubber glove when I had to fill up. I didn't really stop other than for some fast food here and there. And that's how I got off the trail. I ate at Paradise Valley Cafe, which they're serving to-go food and you can eat it outside. And then I camped one more night just down the road I was on the trail just down from the road crossing. And then I came back, and one of my subscribers, I won't mention her name because I didn't get permission, but thank you so much. That was amazing. She reached out to me beforehand. She lived in Idlewild, and offered to give me any assistance. If I needed any assistance, give her a call. So I gave her a call, and she drove me to the Palm Springs airport. For her, like, the road crossing was kind of on the way, but she had to drive an hour and a half each way to pick me up. So that was really amazing of her. I really, really appreciated it. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hold on one sec. I'm recording. Just a sec. Sorry, that was Tony. Thank you so much. So that's, and then I also want to give big thanks to my brother Tony, who gave me so much support. He got me to the airport in the first place. He picked me up here. He's letting me stay with him. He also, I was cold on the trail, and he bought a little packable throw and mailed that to me in Warner Springs. So yeah, he really gave me a lot of support on this, and I really appreciate that. So thanks, brother Tony. And also I want to give special thanks to Jax's mom, who really helped me get some clarity on this as well, and that great suggestion to do the one-way rental car. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much that. You know, in hindsight, I absolutely should have got off the trail after I read that PCTA email, but I didn't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to the PCTA. I should have got off trail as well. But I'm off now, and I think absolutely it was the right thing to do. I mean, this situation is blowing up. Everybody's having to make sacrifices for this, and it was hard. It was a hard sacrifice to make, but I shouldn't say, I mean, people are making much bigger sacrifices than me getting off trail, but it was really hard to make that decision in the moment. But I am 100% certain now that it was absolutely the right decision. It was the one I needed to make, and it's the one I should have made, you know, a week and a half ago. So yeah, that's my story. So I do have footage from the trail, which I'm going to be showing, and I'm going to show some of it now. So I've got days 1 and 2 that I'm going to show you now. And one thing you'll notice in these first 2 days is that I wasn't doing that great of a job of social distancing. It hadn't really blown up yet at that point. I mean, it was, but it hadn't. And I definitely got better as the trail went on, but in the end, there's no way to get proper social distancing on the trail. So, yeah, let me cut you that footage.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Heat up your rocks, and then you put them inside the socks, and then you put the socks inside of the shoe. Or sorry, it's the warm up your, it's the dry your shoes. So you take like your sock, you put it inside.
Day 1 on the trail. Pretty exciting stuff. It's a bit cold and rainy out here. Sun at the moment, which is nice. But yeah, it's awesome to be on trail. It's so exciting. We had a great group of people at the hostel, and yeah, on the trail. Good times.
And depending what kind of year we get, like some people manage to go through the whole trail with only like 5 days of rain.
Well, yes, I'm thrown right into the fire. It is pouring rain right now. I'm in my little tent. A rainy first night in the Pontchartrain. Day 2, starting off with my umbrella. Oh geez. Oh geez. Just a quick tip, I will say having an umbrella does make it a lot easier to film. And also, you don't lose heat through convection because the water's not actually hitting you. So Yeah, the umbrella has actually been really handy so far, and it's also gonna come in handy when we get out into the desert and sunnier days. So. Well, the weather could be a little nicer, but I'm fine with it. It's just awesome to be out here, so having a great time so far on day 2. First road walk. I think I'm about 14 miles in, and I think it's less than a mile on a dirt road, no traffic. Well, I left Hauser Creek and I'm beginning the long climb up to get down to Lake Morena, going up there. Just looking back down the trail, some lake off there in the distance. There's a little better view of that lake in the distance. Gorgeous. So, yeah, this first stretch of the trail is gorgeous. You know, it's called the desert, but this first 700 miles is known as the desert. But yeah, this first section is definitely not desert. It's Campo has pine trees and huge oaks, and then the trail has a bunch of scrub oak and manzanita and lots of wildflowers and just lots of vegetation in general. I don't even know what all of it is, but definitely not desert. We're getting there. I have no doubt that we'll get to some desert, but yeah, this first section of trail is gorgeous. Much more beautiful than I was expecting. So, yay!
So yeah, I've got more footage to show from the rest of the hike, which I will put that out in videos in the coming week or two. Don't know how long I'm going to stay here. I might try to find a spot here in Idaho just to hole up that's within driving distance of my brother's house, so I can come back as I need to resupply, stay with him for a few more days, and then go back out on my own. Being in a house in a basement for a month or two, or however long this isolation lasts, that's intimidating for me. Like, I just love being outside, so I would rather try to find a place where I can hole up that's outside, and then just come back as I need to, and just kind of go back and forth between those two situations. So that's what I'm leaning towards right now. But if I have to, I can isolate here with my brother. He extended that to me, so yeah, we'll see. So that's pretty much my video. Thanks for watching. Yeah, that's that. So thanks for watching, and I will have the rest of the hike coming soon. So thanks.